Yeah, you gotta find.
What's it supposed to?
So we left off yesterday. We had the Maisim. I know. I think Abaye and Rava, where they were dejected the fact that they didn't get a Shalom Aleichem right every day, like this other Abba. What was his name? Abu Umna, right? Abu Umna, and it turns out that they took the rugs. The base says no, they're for tzedakah at my house. And Rava was also felt bad, but he says no, fine. So Rav Broka Chuzai, I think that's where he left off. Yeah. So second Chaf Beis, Tainus, second white line. So Rav Chuzai Havishchich B'Shuka Debei. So one time Rav Broka Chuzai Havishchich B'Shuka Debei Lefet. So he used to go ahead and commonly be in the Shuk of Lefet. Havishchich Elio Gabe, and Elio Hanavi happened to go there often. So I'm really Ikebahaya Shuka Bar Almidiasi. So he's turned to Elio, good friend. No, is there somebody here who's from the who's part of the world to come, right? So I'm really low. Another time that he saw that there was a certain person there, and I guess he was wearing dark clothes, black shoes, right? And he wasn't wearing his tzitzis, right, on his garments. So I'm really hi Bar Alma. This guy, by the way, he's a Ben Olam Haba. So I'm really Bar Alma. So Dasiu. So Rad Basre. So he saw this person as well. So he ran after him. So I'm really what do you do? Like, you know what? I got a little tip that you're special. So tell me what you do. So I'm really Zila Ina V'Solam. Right, go. Go now. I'm not gonna tell you. I don't have time. Come back tomorrow. So the next day he said to him, "What is it that you do?" I'm So he said to him, "So Zindu Kana Ana, right? He works at a jail, at a prison. Right, and a couple of rules I have. First thing I do is I separate the men and the women. I make sure that the women are protected. And I put my bed in between the men and the women. In order that there won't be any surim, anything happen to any girls. Right now, funny Bas Yisrael, the Avi Nachrim ala Anayu. And I see there's a Bas Yisrael who was there, and the guy they're setting their eyes upon her. But I go ahead and I save her. One time there was an Amarasa. There was a girl between the ages of 12 and 12 and a half who was Marasa. She was engaged. So what happened? So I saw these Nachim. They were eyeing her. Right? She's going to be a potential victim. So I took some wine. The shaydu lahai v'shipula v'amri the sitnahi. Right? And basically I put upon her skirt. And I said, that she's bleeding. She's she's in need of, don't get any, don't get any ideas. So in order to go ahead and sort of, scare them off. So that was what I had. So my time, right? So what's the reason why, you don't have tzitzis, right? And why do you have black shoes? Right? I work amongst the Goyim, so this way they don't know that I'm Jewish. Because so I'm on the inside, I'm working undercover, and therefore I hear when they're going to go ahead and basically perhaps get decrees against the Jews, against the Torah. And I can tell the rabbis early enough, and then go ahead and be mispalel and be mevatlet. My time now came. What's the reason why I said to you? I said, what do you do? And you answered me, come back tomorrow, I'll tell you. So right, at that moment there was a gzeira. The boy Rachbe Alei. In other words, I heard that time that there was a gzeira coming, and I want to go ahead and tell the Rabbanan, right? The boy Rachbe Alei the milsa for them to go ahead and be, for them to be mispalel on behalf to remove this gzeira. And then meanwhile, so he was there with Elio and Navi, and two other people came. These guys are also B'nai Olam Haba. So also the Gabayu, you went to them. No, what do you guys do? What's your present? Inshi beduchayadan. Right? We're comedians, right? We're clowns. We do silly things, right? Ana mavdichin atzivi. Right? We make we make people who are sad, we make them happy. Inami ki chazina beitre tislu tigra bahadayu tarchina vadina lu shalma. Or if we see two people fighting, we go ahead and make peace. So we go around and we are go ahead and make sure everyone is smiling and having good. And according to Eliyahu Navi, they were bnei olam haba. Fine, we're in the two dots, smack in the middle of Chav Beis and Aleph. Al elu masrim b'chol makom v'chulei. So these are the ones who are masriyim. We go out, we cry out. Every place. Taraban al masriyim b'chol makom al shidafon for wind blasts for the crops. Vayirakonim for yelling. V'al arba v'chasilan, these types of locusts. V'al chayra, and also chayra, wild animals. And Kiva oimer al shidafon v'yiraka b'chol shu, any amount. And arba chasil afilu lo nira v'ertisel ela kanaf echan masrin aleim. Right? Even if they haven't eaten anything, rather if only seen like one branch, right, one little amount, then we go ahead and we're masrin because they do go ahead and spread. The al chaya b'chulei, and also for wild animals. The tarabana chaya ro sha'amru bisman shehim l'shuleches masrin aleha. When it is considered to be mishuleches, right? Mishuleches basically seems to be sent from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? It's sent, as they're acting. Mishlech has been a shemayim, as Rashi says, right? They're sent, heavenly sent, because there's something abnormal about their activity, and it must be because it's coming down. They're coming to punish us some sort of plague, right? So but if it appears they're acting like in their normal habitat, right? Then we don't go ahead and we don't cry out. So what is considered to be mishalachas? What's not? So nearest be'ir, if they're seen in the city, then mishalachas, right? Then that's right. Mishalachas, if they're seen inside the city, then it's considered to be heavenly sent because that is not the normal way, right? They hide from people. They say they have to have a soda. They're out in the field and a mishalachas. Then it's not considered mishalachas. If it's during the day, mishulachas, that's considered mishulachas because most of the animals, during the day, they're sleeping during the day, right? Especially if you go to the zoo, right? The lion sleeps for 23 hours a day, right? So they sleep, right? Normally they're not out, right? When the light is out, then belayla in mishulachas. However, at night when they're walking around, that's in mishulachas. Rasa shnei bnei adam rasa achareyan mishulachas. If it sees two people and runs after them, that's considered to be mishalachas min hashamayim. That's considered a sent from the heavens. Nechbas mipnei, but if these two people are hides, ain't mishalachas. Then it's not considered to be mishalachas. And tarva shnei bnei adam va'achla echamihan mishalachas. If it attacks two people and eats one of them, then it's mishalachas. Then that's abnormal behavior. However, achla shnei, but it eats both of them, then ain't mishalachas. Then the reason why it attacked him is because it was desperately hungry. And also the gag, if it went up on the roof of the Natla Tinok and it took a baby, Marisa from its crib, then Mishulachas. Then Mishulachas. That's considered to be heavenly sent. Now, Aguvakasha, wait, it itself seems to be a contradiction. Amartan Iris of the ear Mishulachas. You said if it was seen in the city, then it's considered to be Mishulachas. It doesn't make a difference whether it's during the day or the night. Then afterwards it says right? But then it says afterwards only during the day it's mishlachas, but b'layla it's not. So which one is it? It seems like if it's in the city, it's always mishlachas, right? So the rest is not like kasha. Hachi kamar near sabir if it's seen in the city biyom during the day mishlachas. Be'ir right b'layla if it's at night in mishlachas. Inami or bisada if it's in a field. Afilu b'yayim, if it's in the field even during the day, ain't mishulechas. Then it's not considered to be mishulechas. If it was in the field. And Rasav Shemnei Adam, here's another issue. Rasav Shemnei Adam, Rasav Achreya, and mishulechas. If it sees two people runs after them, it's mishulechas. Oh, metas. But if it's just standing there, doesn't run away, right? Ain't mishulechas. Then that's normal. Only if it hides, if it hides from them, from two people, then it's not considered to be sent. But if it's just standing there, mishulechas, it's considered to be mishulechas. So which one is it? It sees two people, and if it's just standing, if it sees two people, right? And if it's just standing, it's a contradiction. One seems to say that only if it chases them, right? Then it's mishleches. Otherwise, it's normal. And the other one seems to say, no, the normal behavior is hiding. But if it's just standing there, that's considered to be mishleches. That's considered to be, heavenly sent. So Gemara says, no. What do you mean?
Okay, keep on.
It said if it just stands still.
It depends which part. No, if it depends which part of the brisa you're learning it from. In other words, both of them you can infer the opposite. So Gemara says like kasha. Kan bisada smuch la'agam. If it's in a field close to the marsh, right, close to the swamp. So that case, if the animal sees two people, it's just going to stand there. That's normal behavior. It doesn't need to hide because it knows it has its area to hide. It's in its normal habitat where it potentially hides. So if it sees two people, it's not going to run. And that was the case of where it's just omedes. It's eina mishaleches. But the other case, but the other is in a case of where it's not close to the marsh and there are no hiding places for the animal. If it just stands there, then this animal must be heavenly sent. And Travis should be the Adam Kechad. If it attacks two people, like one and each one of them is Mishlechas, Shneim, but if he's both of them, Mishlechas. Before it says that only if it chases them, or not, right? Right. Right. So it's Amar Papa Kitani Ahi Ba'agma. That was referring to in the case of the in the marsh. When right, then in other words, if it goes ahead and attacks them, then since once again it's in its normal habitat, right, and therefore that when it kills two people, right, that's normal. That's when they're in the agma, right. Otherwise, when there's not the agma, when it's not in the marsh, right, or the swamp, then it would not be normal behavior, and therefore it would be mishulachas. Fine. So he says gufa. So we said over here also the gag v'nat latina marisa mishleches. If it went out and took a baby from his crib, right? Then mishleches. So this is pshita. Samra papa kuche ditzaydek. Right? We're talking about over there that even right a place such as where the hunters go, right? It's a little hut, right? So over there, the animals I guess are normal. It's not just in the city, right? And it goes into the city and climbs the roof. Rather. Even a little hunter's hut, such a place is not considered to be that would be potentially normal behavior for an animal. Kamash Malon, that's considered to be in Mishalachas. So Tanur Rabban in 3 lines on the bottom. Cherev she'amru. So we also said al cherev that for swords for incoming armies they would be mastering right away. So Tanur Rabban cherev she'amru in tzarich leimar cherev she'enu shashalom elafilu cherev shalom. That which we say that they go ahead and they daven for a cherev if the enemy the enemy army comes in, right? Not only if they come in for war, but even if they come in for times of peace. So we don't find a case of where there was an army came for more peace, then that be paro noicha, right? When the paro noicha came and they went from Egypt and wanted to go ahead and cross through Israel to attack people on the other side, they were coming completely for peace, and it resulted in there are many deaths. Right, Yoshua, right? He got killed. And so we see over here that even so they come for peace, or they're coming to come for peace, there's still a reason to be masrid.
They were just passing.
Yeah, well, so the Gemara was going to say, right? And nevertheless, even though they're coming for shalom, so nevertheless they failed. Nichshaba Melch Yoshev. Shnamar Pasuk says, "Vayishlach Elav Malachim le'mor Mali v'lecha Melch." Right. So it's Melch Yehuda. So he said to him. Right, he said, what do I have to do with you? In order to fight, so he says to him, I'm not coming against you, right? But I have other, wars to fight. Right. So, or I guess I think over here is. Elohim, right? Over here is referred to other gods, right? So he says, and then even that, the gods, shouldn't get in the way. Let us come through. We want to fight the people all the way to the north of Israel. We're in the south. Let us just pass through. We have nothing to do to you, and we'll all go in peace. Samai Elohim Asher Yimi, Sam Rav Yehuda Amarav Zo Avodah Zarah. So he says Avodah Zarah. So Omar, so hearing this, Yeshua says, right? Since he's relying upon his avodah zarah, so therefore, we okay, we should let them in, and then if they want to fight us, then we'll fight them. No big deal. Vayoru hayorim lamelch Yeshua, vayomer hamelch avadav havruni ki hechlesi mo. So he said to the archers, they went ahead and they shot the arrows at him, and he was injured, right? He says, move me because I've become very very sick, very injured. He made him like a sieve, right? So many holes in him from arrows that he was like a sieve. He was dying. Why was he punished? Right? Because he should have went ahead and he should have asked advice from Yirmiyahu. And he didn't. So my darsh, right? What did he darsh to himself that he didn't go ahead and ask? It says, it says over there, a cherev shall not pass in your land. So my cherev, if it's referring to any type of cherev should never pass in the land, right? Even it's shena shalom, machsiv and asati shalom baretz, right? It says over there, right? I will place peace in the land. Ela filu shel shalom. Rather, so in other words, that for sure, if it's for war, rather means that even shel shalom, even a cherev shel shalom, that should be, it shouldn't cross your land. But know that his generation was not like that of previous generations, and therefore they didn't have this the chusim, and therefore he should have went ahead and asked Yirmiyahu. And when he was dying, so Yirmiyahu saw that when he was dying, his lips were moving. So he wanted to see what he was saying. So perhaps he's dying, his last messages, right? Perhaps he's cursing God or something. So Gachin, he bent over Shama, he listened to right? And he heard he was saying this is the righteous din. Yes, I guess I deserve to die. Amar tzadiku Hashem ki fiu marisi. So Hashem is a tzaddik, right? Because of his words, I went ahead and rebelled against. And Pasach Ha'ushaza Ruach Apenu Mashiach Hashem. So from there, they said that the Ruach Apenu, right, the breath, right, of Apenu from our nostrils, Mashiach Hashem, is anointed Hashem. In other words, that he was a true, a true king, and therefore he was righteous, even in his final moments. And my Tzaviyot is the Kedim Yishalayim. One time the Kedim left Yishalayim to go ahead and I guess they were leaving Yerushalayim, and one of them happened to see that there was some sort of I think it was wind blasts or something that was destroying the crops, and they decided to be geyser or tinus, excuse me. Siboilu Kemali Toner Tvua Aduma Kemali Toner Pas. So it says, so the Mishnah said they saw an oven's full, right? So was it an oven full of grain or an oven full of grain that could have been cooked to become bread, which would be much less, right? Is it just, the grain itself was the size amount to go ahead and fill up a stove or an oven, right? Or was it the amount of grain that if you baked and to fill it up? So which one was it? So Tashma, come and listen. Kamali pitaner, that was the amount of pitaner, right? So I guess there was the amount to go ahead and fill the mouth of the oven, right? So therefore, it was just I guess referring to bread, right? It was referring to. Yeah. Right. So yes, Tashva the Tani Chadaki Hadishn fine. The Hainu pass. All right, the Ilu Loimatzi Kaima Alpita, right? So I guess the lotion of Alpitaner would not be referring to pass, only referring to pass and not for. Right. Yes. That's right. Very good. And also they said Yisui the Tanura. Is it right? The cover of the tanur, or does it mean that is it basically around the pitanur, the opening, right? Or do they stick one on top of the other up until the mouth of the tanur? I guess which would be more and take. So the Gemara doesn't exactly address how much exactly the grains were that were seen that had this wind blast. Also, they had a shiloh. The wolves came and they ate two babies. Right. So I guess the wolves swallowed them, right? And they, they what's it called? Swallowed them, and they adjust them, and then eventually they came out. Right, they came out. After several days, whatever it was, so they went through the entire, system of the animals. So ba ma'isa lifnei chachamim tatiras abasar. So they said the basar, the flesh, is not their flesh anymore. Their flesh is now excrement, right? Because since it went through the entire digestive tract of the animals, so therefore it's not considered to be the flesh of the babies. Rather, it's considered to be, excrement from the wolves. Right? Vitibo is not so much. But however, when it comes to the bones, those don't change forms. Those don't get, dissolved within the digestive tract of the animals, and therefore those still remain. Those are bones of people, and therefore those were tummy. And if you had a city that it was basically surrounded by nachrim, or a river threatened it from flooding, or you have a boat out in the sea that was jumping around, or even a yachid who was being chased by nachrim, or from thieves, or from some sort of evil spirit. For any one of these, right, a yachid, an individual can go ahead and fast on his own. Right, he can go ahead and let sagef esasma. And Rabbi Yossi, Omer, no, he should not go ahead and just have a yachid should not go ahead and have his tanis because perhaps he'll become sick, he'll need help, and people won't be have rachim on him, they'll have mercy because they'll say he brought it upon himself. Yeah. Right, and
where he brought the.
So I think this was
No, he's fasting. He comes 2 weeks to go to work. The fasting itself, they don't
Right.
People are going to go, oh, why should I help this guy?
Yesterday, some from guy went to Shashchem to the Kotel and they stabbed him. So it's the same thing here. He can't have done it.
Right. What's his right, Rabbi Yossi? So it says the neshama that was placed in the person, so he should go ahead and he should make a live, right? He should make a live by being strong. He can be able to support himself, right? But if he doesn't go ahead and stay strong, so he won't be able to support himself. So therefore, he will not fulfill that pasuk. So he says, even for a dever, we go ahead and we cry out on Shabbos. The Chachamim didn't agree. So is it that they didn't agree with it on Shabbos, but during the week they agree with him, right? Or they didn't agree at all for a dever. We don't. We go ahead, we cry out for a pestilence on Shabbos and certainly during the weekday. Rabbi Chanan ben Pita, Talmid of Rabbi Kiva, Mishum, Rabbi Kiva, Ein Masjid al Dever Kolik. We don't go ahead and cry out Dever pestilence at all. And I'll call Tzara Shalei Tova Tzibur V'chulei. And also for us to know Tzara Shalei Tzibur. So turn about an I'll call Tzara Shalei Tova Tzibur V'Asrin Aleh. Chutz Meirov Gesham. For all the Tzaras, we can go ahead and cry out, except for too much rain. My time was the reason. I'm Rabbi Yechanan, because we don't go ahead and mispalel on too much good. The Omar Rabbi Yechanan Minayim Rav Taiva. Where do you know that? The pasuk says, "V'yu es kol ma'aser el beis ha'itzer v'chulei." So the pasuk over there, what we said, the Zion, it's like a little pasuk, right? So it says over there, right? The pasuk says, "V'yu es kol ma'aser el beis ha'itzer v'chulei." Right, Pasuk Malachi, and the end says, "Im leiftach lachem azarubas hashemayim harikis alachem baracha ad b'lidai." Right, so he's losh of ad b'lidai. So he says, "Bring all the ma'aser the ad b'lidai." So Samai ad b'lidai. So Amar Rami Bar. Ches. Right, where's the ches up there? Yeah, Chama. Right, figured. Right, Amar Chama. Ad sheyivlas azazechem milamar dai until your lips will get tired from saying enough. right? So even that point, you don't be misfalel for too much good. And Amr Rami Bar Rav. Is this one switch? No. Yeah, there's Rami Bar Rav, right? Amr Rav Yud Rav Yud, right? Amr Rav Yud Gola Masrin Aleh. However, in the Golas, the Gola in exile, then we are masrin for too much, for too much flooding and too much rain. And Tanami Hachi Shana Shikashmer Reuben Anshe Mishmar Shluchel Anshe Maimed. So the years, I guess, when there is a lot of rain, right? So then they send, right, the Anshe Mishmar, right? They said to the Anshe people, right? Go ahead and be mispalel that their homes should not be their graves. And Shaldas Rabbi Eliezer, so how much is it the rain? We don't go ahead and we start davening that it shouldn't rain anymore. Some of them, right? Person is, I guess, standing in Keren Ophel, right? This place of Keren Ophel. I guess it's a high rock, right? Similar we saw earlier, they used to have, rock where you have lost objects, right? So they go there and then basically and put his feet in the water. I guess if you sit on it, he will be in the water. It says his hands. So it says Raglav ki yadav kamina. It means his feet, also his hands, and not just his hands, but his feet and also his hands. And therefore, that's I guess that would I guess the sign where the water has risen so much that if they're both their feet and their hands can reach the water from on top of this rock. And Omar Rabbi Berchana Lididi Chazini Karen If I was said to come Havi Taya Ki Rachiv Gamla Vanaki Rubcha Badaya Miski Iniv. Right. I once saw it from afar, and I guess there was a certain Arab who was riding on a camel on it. Right. And when I looked from afar, right, it looked like he was a small, tiny worm on top of it. So that's how large the structure is. And I guess it was so much water upon there. So therefore, it tells you how much water there is that there's this flooding.
It almost sounds like sarcastic. Like Rashi says, like the whole name is possible.
It's a Guzman.
Right, Guzman. Yeah. Fine. Yeah. Fine. So I will give you rains in the time, right? Not too much, right? Not too little, right? Right? The medium she calls Reuben, the Tash is ours, because if there's too much rain, then it like ruins the land, right? It saturates the land, and it's not good for stuff to grow. It's too muddy, right? And the fruits you won't grow properly. And another interpretation is Be'itam. It says Be'itam, right, in their time. What does that mean? Beleli Revios, Beleli Shabbosos, right, during the nights of, right? So Leili Shabbos is referring to the night before Shabbos, which is Friday night. So therefore, Leili Revios, I guess, would be Tuesday night into Wednesday, right? During the they used to go ahead and rain on Leili Revios, Leili Shabbosos, right? Tuesday and Friday night. Right? Until basically the size of their fruits they grew, that their wheat was like kidneys, and their barley was like that of large olive pits, and the adashim, right, and their lentils were kedinars of the size of the golden coins. V'tsaru mehem, right, dugma doris, and I guess they hit him, and they put him on for doris. Ladia kama hachet garim, to teach you that I guess they didn't have sin during their days, and therefore they were zeichet to have such fruit, and therefore they can see what sinning causes. Right? Because it says over there that the sins will I guess they'll have their sins, and then their chataim will prevent them from the goodness. They may heard this. We also have the days of heard the Shayo they used to go in during the building of the business. It would rain at night. They would need to do the work. Nishba ruach, the wind would blow. The frazwa avim, the clouds would scatter. All right, then the people, the sun would come out. People would go to their work. The other shemlach shemayim b'yadei, they knew that Hashem was with them. And now we get to the Ma'aseh of Choni Magil. So Tarabbanan Pamachas Yatsa Roiv Adar one time, so it most of Adar already was, and it didn't rain, right? Basically through Purim, right? So he sent the Magel. He's full of Yardu Geshem. So he says, please go ahead and daven. He's spelled Geshem. So he davened, and it did not rain. So he drew a circle on a certain side, like the days that it was done by Chavukah Kanavi. Shnamar Pasuk says, "Al Mishmarasi Amda B'Yitzatza Al Mitzur." So the pasuk says over there that he will stand right in his position, right, and I'll put myself in siege. I won't leave, right. So the fun everybody Shalom Banacha Samu Panayam Alai. Right, your children have basically relied upon me. Shani Keben Bais Lefanacha. I'm like a house guest, a member of your household, right? Nishbani b'shmecha gadol. I'll go ahead and swear in your great name. Sheini zaz mikan ach terachem abanecha, until you have mercy upon your children and for rain. His chiluk geshamim natfin. Then a little drizzle came, and Amar little Talmidav. And the Talmidim said him, Rabbi, Renecha v'loy namus, right? Right? Kibadum anu shein geshamim yardim el lahati shvasecha. Right, we need this. This is a drizzle, right? We need a rain of bracha. Right, so, what's the difference between the one? So this Maisa is describing the Maisa from the Mishnah. That was brought in the Mishnah. So this elaborates a little more, right? It's a little expansion, right? So he says, so it appears that it rained a little bit just to fulfill your shvuah, because it said, oh, it doesn't rain, I'm leaving. Okay, you want rain? Here's a little drizzle, now you can get out of your circle, right? Some are like kach they didn't ask for this. Ella gishmei baris sheichin baris. Rather, I come to request, rain, heavy rains, to go ahead and fill the pits and the cisterns and all the caves. Yardu bazaf came to how ad shekol tipa v'tipa kabali pi chavis. Each one was like the large huge water. B'shir chavim measured shein tipa v'chaysim elug. Right, it was a amount of a lug, right? A very large amount, right? So Amar lo Talmidav. Rabbi, right? Right. Let us go ahead and see the great rains, and let us not, be killed. For doing right? It appears that the rain is coming to destroy the world. Some of the fun up. He said once again to Hakadosh Baruch Hu, look, rather not this. Rather, I come to pray for the good rain, right? The rain of blessing. Yardu kasiknan. Then it rained properly. Ad shel kol am laharabais, and it was rained and rained and rained. Not too heavy, but it was a lot of rain until everyone came to the harabais. Like Hashem for the rain. So Amru lo Rabbi kashem shispal sheyardu kach hispal v'yelchu lahem. Just like you davened that it should rain, now you need to daven that it should go. Some of them kach megolani. However, I learned shem mispalim al rov hatova, that we can't be mispalel al rov hatova. And Alpha Piche, nevertheless, Heviuli par Alpha Piche, Haviule par Hoda. Nevertheless, I could bring a par Hoda. So he wanted to bring a bull offering. Haviule par Hoda. So much to Yada of Allah. Right. This is also, I don't think it was mentioned in the Mishnah. So he put his two hands on it. Amar Lefan everybody Shalom Am Chayisel. So it says the Mitzrayim that you took out of Egypt. They can't stand. Right. They're very finicky. Right, they can't have too much good and not too much bad. Right, so if you're angry with them, then they wouldn't be able to go ahead and survive. So you right, you give them the good, you can't study. Right, you should go ahead and make the rain stop. And there should be, a calmness to the world. Miyad nishba ruach v'niz pazru ha'avim v'zer chacham. Immediately, the winds, I guess, blew away the clouds, and therefore, then the sun came out. V'yatzam asada ve'viu lahem kamin pishos. And then, I guess, people went into the fields, and they brought out, I guess, mushrooms, right, and truffles, right, and other things that were growing. And Shimon Shetach then said to Chanimagel, if you were not Chanimagel, I'll put you in Chayim. Right? The way you talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shilush Shanik Shnei Eliyot. that even it was during the years of when Eliyahu was around, that he basically held the keys of the rain in his hands. Right? In other words, if you would have basically had a shvuah neged against Eliyahu Navi, your words would have been fulfilled. In other words, there wouldn't have been a shvuah shav, right? It wouldn't have been a false promise because basically your shvuahs could even override someone who was in charge of the rain. But what can I do? That you appear to sin in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he does what you want, right? Right, like a boy who does wrong to his father. His father still gets what he wants. Right, so he complains, to his father. Right, he says, "Go ahead and give me warm." Right, and then then I guess wash me in the warm, and then rinse me off in the cold. And Tainli goes to Efrasikim very monim, and give me all these nuts and these almonds, right, and peaches and pomegranates. But nice and long he gives them. So it says your parents, or your father and your mother should be happy. And then that they see that you're happy, right? Right. So obviously you're a ben bias, and therefore there's nothing we can do against it. So what do they say in the Chari Magel? So he said, so they said about him, why did he send them? Because he did the pasuk. It says, and you will make a decree, or a zigzor, and then that which you decree will be fulfilled. How did they darshan it? But zigzor, omer, atan gzar to milamata. In other words, you make a gzera from down here in this world. Kadosh Baruch Hu mekayim imrecha milamana. Kadosh Baruch Hu fills it from above. Noga or right, and from your ways there'll be light. So dor shaya afel arta b'tfasa. Right, a generation of darkness, right, will be enlightened with your tefillos. And keishvilu the timer gave, as it says over there, right, and they fell down, they came low, they were lowly, right, and you said they will be uplifted, right. So dor shaya shafel higlasa b'tfasa, a generation that was lowly, you have uplifted with your tefillos. The sach einayim yashia, and those whose eyes were down will be saved. So and the generation, right, that was lowly because of the averas, they will be raised up through your tefillas. A melody. So and then it says Yemelati Naki, saying the pasuk in Eov. So it says Dor Shaloya Naki, right? A generation that was not clean, right? That was not clean of sin. They once again will be cleansed with your tefillah. They will be uplifted. All right. The Nimlat and they'll be delivered through your hands. Right? They'll be delivered right through your hands, clearly through your hands, through your deliverance. And all the years of his life, he was upset with this pasuk, right? It didn't make sense to him. Pasuk says, so it says over there, during the years of Galus, in between, right, when they were in Galus for 70 years, so it says that Hashem will return them to Tzion, and it will be like dreamers. So Amar Miika Danaim Shivin Shanim B'Chalma. Are there people who are dreaming for 70 years? Are people who sleep for 70 years? I understand. So one time he was going, right? He was walking along, and what happened? He saw a person planting a carob tree. So I'm like, hi, at kama time. So how long will this take? So I'm like, right? Let's start, bearing carobs in 70 years. So I'm like, so he said, you're going to live for 70 years. So I'm like, hi, right? I'm in this world and I see that there's carobs. Just like my fathers went ahead and planted the carob tree, so I'll plant for my sons. So he took a piece of bread. So So then he was, I guess, Chalim Agel, I guess, took a piece of bread and he was nodding off. Nim Hadrile Mishunisa. So then he fell to a sleep and Ichse Meina Venim Shivin Shar. So he was surrounded by rocks, like miraculously grew around him, so people couldn't see him. He was hidden there, and he slept. He was sleeping there for 70 years, and he woke up. He was hidden by the rabbis. No one saw him for 70 years. He come when he got up. He saw also the same carob tree, right, that was being planted. He saw there were carobs coming, so someone was, taking from the carobs. So I'm like, Atu Shalisa, were you the one who planted this? Samarle Bar Bere, no, that was my father's father. I'm the grandson. Amarle. So he said, Shmami no, Dinani Shivin Shanin, right? I see that people do sleep for 70 years. So he realized that he slept for this long. So Chaz the Chama the Ramche. And he saw that his chamre, that his donkey also, gave birth, to other animals and gave birth. So he saw that it was many generations, afterwards, just like he saw earlier. So Azal Abayse, he went to his house. He said, "Berei the Choni Magil Mikayim, is the son of Choni Magil alive?" So Berei Lessa, no, his son is no longer alive. However, Barberei Isa, his grandson, is alive. So Anna Choni Magil, I'm Choni Magil, I'm the grandfather. They didn't believe him. So Azal the base of Medrash, he went to the base of Medrash and Shaminu the Rabban, and he heard the Rabban the comment they were saying, Narin Shmaisin Kivishani Choni Magil. He overheard them saying, these brises are as clear to us like it was when during the Chonim Agil. Why? Because any question in the base medrash that was asked, he would answer, and he would get clarity. So he said to them, by the way, I'm Chonim Agil. So lo he knew they didn't believe him. So they didn't give him a respect, like a proper respect that he deserved. And and he became dejected. And by Rachem, so then he davened that that he died. He was taken from the world. Yeah, not a happy ending. And Amar Rava says, Rava Hainu Damri Inshi. That's what people say. Oh, Chavrusa or Matusa, right? Either give me a Chavrusa, give me a learning they didn't want to learn them, or Matusa, or rather I should go ahead and die from there. Fine. Now, Abba Chilkia, Bar Berei, the Choni Amaga. Speaking of grandsons, we talked about the grandson, the guy with the carob tree. Now is the grandson of Choni Amaga himself. Abba Chilkia, Bar Berei, the Choni Amaga, Havi V'chi Mitzrich Al Malamitra. When they would need rain, Havi Meshtari Rabbanan Lagabe. They would send messengers to Rabbanan to send him. But by Rachmei, they asked for him for mercy of Vasi Mitra and rain for rain to come. So Zino Chadi Strich Alma Lamitra. One time that the world needed rain. The Rabbanan Azuga, the Rabbanan Lagabe. So the Rabbanan sent a pair of rabbis to go ahead. The boy Rachmi, the Nisi Mitra. So they sent two messengers to Abba Chilkia to go ahead and be mispalel to bring the rain. So Azal the base say, I'm sorry. Oh yeah. It's always something with it, right? So we say Danise Mitra. Azul Abese, so they went to Azul Eshku and they didn't find him. So Azul Badabra Bashku. So they went out in the fields, right? And they saw that that he was there. So you saw it on the field. Bashku Rafik. So he said they saw that he was working out there. He was hoeing, or he was digging. Rafik Yabile Shalma. They said Shalom Aleichem to him. Turn the page. Right, he didn't go ahead and he didn't smile to them, right? He didn't turn to them. So in the evening, right? So in the evening, so what happened then? So right? So when he was going ahead, he was taking his wood and dart CV Umara b'chad kaf. Right, he put his shovel, his hoe on one shoulder, and he put his shirt on the other shoulder. And so the entire way he was walking, he was not wearing shoes. However, when he got to the water, then he put on his shoes. Yeah. So then also when he got, I guess, to the Heisman, I guess to different thorns, right? He got to thorns. Then he like rolled up his pants. He rolled up his pants and he went to the thorns that way. When he finally went ahead and he got to his house, right? His wife came out to be mikashta, right? She was wearing all her jewelry, right? Her makeup and jewelry. When he got to his house, Allah's to be Beresha. First his wife went in, then he went in, and then the Rabbanan went in last. Yasi v'kar chrifta, he went, he sat, he broke bread, he didn't tell the Rabbanan, hey, why don't you guys pull up a chair, come eat. He didn't say anything. So Pali grifta liyanuka, he gave one piece of bread to the youngest, he broke bread to the kashkira shchadel, the zutre tray. To the older one, he gave one piece of bread, to the younger one, he gave two. And then he turned to his wife, right? And because he saw that the other people, right, there's the elephant in the room. He saw the two of them, were staying in the room. So I know, by the way, these guys in the other room, or why they're here, they want rain, right? So us and Isa the Igra, right? Let's go upstairs without telling him. Let's go daven. I know why they're here. Right? They've been following me all the way since the field. We'll go upstairs. We'll daven. So after right? And it's possible, let's go upstairs and daven, and then it'll start raining. And therefore, we're not, they'll think it wasn't us. We won't take credit for it. No need to take credit for it. Let's try and do it privately and daven for rain, so it'll rain before they come. So Sagali Igra, Kabiyu Bechada Zivasa, Viyu Bechada Zivasa. So they went up to the roof. He went in one corner, she went in the other one. And Kadim Siluk Anani Mehaka Zivisa the Visiyu. And then the clouds basically came in her corner, right, for his kinachis. So they went back down. So we said he finally addressed these two rabbis were sent. Amaya Sirabanan. Rabbis, what brings you here? We were sent here to ask you for you to go ahead and daven for rain. Right, it's good you guys don't need my services, right? Because I see the clouds are here, it's starting to rain. So they said, Yadino, Demetra, Machmas, Marhu. Right? We can see through the shtick, right? We know it was because of you the rain came. We're not fools, right? We know that. Thank you very much, Rabbi. However, Mar, Hani Milit, it's me alone. However, we have a bunch of questions as to your activities today. So my time, what was the reason? Let's start off at the beginning. When we first saw you in the morning, we said, hey, Shalom Aleichem, we saw you at home. You didn't even answer us. So I was a rented, I was a day worker, and therefore my time, I was paid for my time. I couldn't turn around and start a conversation, so I didn't want to go ahead and steal from my employer. Well, my time, what's the reason why when you went back, you put your shovel, your hoe on one shoulder, and in your garment on the other? It would have been easier just to put them on the same shoulder, like put the hoe on top of the garment. Right? I borrowed it, right? I borrowed it for working. It wasn't working, but I didn't borrow it to go ahead and schlepping and putting other, wooden hoe on top of it that perhaps it can go ahead and tear. And my time, what's the reason why you weren't wearing shoes the entire walk? However, once you got to the water, then you put on shoes. Because the entire way I can see where I'm stepping on, it was easy. But once I step in the water, then in order to protect the feet, I put on I put on shoes then. And my time, what's the reason when you got to the thorns, right? That you basically rolled up your pants? Samalu mala rucha right? Because if I get some scratches on my legs, those will heal on its own. But if I tear my pants, they don't heal on its own. And my time came out to the what's the reason why we reached your house and your wife was all adorned in her jewelry and her makeup? So no, I don't look at other women. I only look at my wife. And my time, what's the reason why she went in first of Hadar El Mar, then you went in Abase the Hadar Alina, and then afterwards you went in. So he answered them, but the keys to leave. because I don't know you guys. So if I would have went in first, I would have left you outside alone with my wife. Or if I let you guys in first before my wife, once again, you would have been alone with the wife. Therefore, you were never alone with my wife. My tamaki karich marifta. What was the reason why he broke the bread? That you guys, why did you offer his bread? So he said, Mishum delanifashi rifta. I didn't have enough bread. And therefore, I knew you guys would have said, "Oh no, thanks, we're good," because you saw we wasn't enough bread. And then it would be like I'm getting, like I offered you guys something, and I'm getting like credit for doing something, even though I knew you weren't going to take anything. So therefore, since you weren't going to take, I wasn't going to offer you to get that free, it was that free generous offering, right? And my time, kashisha chada. What's the reason why you gave your older son only one piece of bread, the lazutra tray, and the young one too? So below high called beisei, high called yasid kanishta, right? The one who's in the house. Right, so he's around food. So he's eating during the day. That was the older one. However, the younger one, he was the Beit Kanishta. He didn't have any food with him the entire day, so therefore I gave 2 pieces. Right. So by time kadim salak anani magzi so the havis kamei devisiu demar lenina dide. So what's the reason why the clouds basically hurt Tefillah answers first before yours? So mashum diisa shkicha bebeisa the rifto because she's normally in the house and she can do chesed more readily available to people that come poor. So therefore, she is the special chesed, right? Umikrava haniasa, right? And also her giving, right, is the benefit is almost immediate. You give someone bread, they eat the bread right away. As opposed to give money, they got to go ahead and either buy the ingredients and bake the bread, or they got to go ahead and buy the bread. But she gives the actual bread, so therefore she's bigger chesed. But if he does zuzah, like make haniasa, and I only give money, the money is not readily available. Inami or hina barayuni dahavi b'shvisan, or right. Right, there's certain baruni, right, the mafia that lives in our neighborhood. I pray that they should die, right? Right, and she was mispalo that they should go ahead and do tshuva, right? And then they were chayzer, they did tshuva for their behaviors. Fine. Chanan hanechba. Right, so Chanan Nechba was another grandchild. Barsei the Choni Magila. He was also a grandson. He was a son of the daughter of Choni Magila. And once again, it was a family business. When they would go ahead and they need rain, having Mishadi the Rabbanu Yunuka, Debei Rav the Gabi, they would go ahead and send children to go ahead to greet him. Venakile Bishifule Galime, right? And so they I guess they would go ahead and they would ask, they would pull him by his coat. Abba, Havlan Mitra, give us rain. Says Rebbeinu Shalom, Asa b'shvil elu, right? Send these people rain. Why? Sheina Makir made Abba the Yav Mitra, Abba the Lo Yav Mitra, because they don't even know the difference between a father who gives rain and a father who doesn't. Chanan Hanechba. Why was he called Chanan Nechba? The Chanan, the hidden, right? Because he was very private in the Beis HaKisei, so he was known as the private one, Chanan Nechba. All right, we'll stop here because Davri's in 4 minutes, right? Yeah, it's 45, right? Yeah. All right, so we'll stop here. And we're